All right, we have some stuff in store today for the van. Time for a winch and a winch bumper. So it's been a long time coming. So one of the things that I've wanted to put on the van is a winch bumper and a winch, simply because it gives us the ability to self-recover from just about everything that we would ever need. And so we finally got the bumper in. I've had the winch for a while, so I'm really excited to get this stuff started. And we'll go start with unboxing the bumper and kind of taking a look at what that is going to entail. So just to get us started real quick, basically we've got to cut out this area, and then the bumper goes right in there. So it should be a pretty straightforward install for us, but excited to get started. So welcome to another episode of The Road Ahead, and today we are going to be installing our Backwoods Adventure Mods front winch bumper and the Warren Evo 12,000 pound synthetic winch. First thing we got to do is unbox this bumper and see what it's like. That's pretty cool. You can see the bumper is packed pretty nicely. Now I got their Scout bumper, which does not come with a light bar. I just really wanted a place for the winch and some recovery points for attachments, but other than that, I just wanted a basic, simple, clean setup. And that's what it looks like. We got really nice recovery points here. We have a place for a receiver hitch, the winch, of course. This is a space for the proximity warning sensor for the braking up front, and it's going to slide right into that area that I showed you. And so first thing we got to do is get the bumper prepared, the front bumper prepared on the van, and get that cut out. And yeah, I'm excited. The template's pretty self-explanatory. So I'm not going to kind of show you how I did the template, but I'm just going to show you how it fits up and then what I did to put it up. Basically, the template fits in the arc of this bumper cutout. You can see how it goes like that. And all I did was fit it up, and then I used some electrical tape to create the body line. And that is the line we have to cut on. And I just repeated it for both sides. So we're going to cut on the inside of this line, and we're going to cut on the inside of this, go through, cut here, and then repeat on the other side, and then we'll pull that part of the bumper off. There's only one piece that you just got to make sure that you don't want to cut too deep. We're going to use an oscillating multi-tool to do it, and it should work pretty easily. So you just got to pay. If you're nervous about cutting the van, cutting this on the van, you can take that front bumper facade off. It's just these torque screws. There are 3 of them right there, and then you've got the ones that are up here, and then there are some basic pop normal body fender pop rivets you got to just pop off in order to get it done. So nothing too difficult. So let's get out the multi-tool and let's get to cutting. I'm going to use an oscillating multi-tool because it's the easiest way. You can certainly do it with a grinder, but just in case you're nervous, I'm going to cut inside of all of our lines, and we can trim those up later, just to make sure that we don't cut too much, because it's a whole lot easier to cut less to begin with and then cut more to fit than it is to cut too much and then you have gaps. Now, there are some wires right back here that you just want to be aware of. You can see them right here. Just gotta push them up. Just be careful. You don't want to go too deep. But they're not anywhere near. You just got to be careful. Just things to be mindful of. All right, well, you missed all of the other stuff. So there we go. So that plastic cover is off now, and this is what you're left with. Here's that sensor I was telling you about for the proximity of things, and we'll get to that in a minute. And everything's cut pretty well, so we'll test fit the bumper and see how good we did. All right, so we'll take care of the active braking piece real fast. So that is that piece right there. So this comes out, and there is a tab right here, and you guys got to push down. Push up, sorry, and rock this thing. And there are some tabs, and all we got to do is just gonna push in the two ears here and wiggle the bracket off. So this, you want to be super careful. This thing is not only expensive but super sensitive, so we're going to put it in a safe place, because they say if you drop it, it's junk. Now for me, that sensor is for the active braking, like if someone gets too close to the front of the van, well, especially while we're driving, the sensor will go off and lights will come on and stuff like that. It's also part of some of the adaptive cruise control stuff, which this van does not have, but it does have that active braking assist piece. All right, we're gonna just trim this box up out of the way. We don't need it, and we're not gonna reuse it. The camera isn't impacted at all, but this bracket has to come off for the bumper to go in. So we're just gonna go up above and trim it out real fast. All right, and it's easy as that. Now, if you want to save that, perhaps maybe you think you're ever going to use it again, there are some bolts. You just take a few bolts loose on the grill and you... All right, the next step is to take the factory bumper off, which are 4 bolts, 2 on this side, 2 up there. But in order to get that done and have this bumper come out a little bit easier, there are a couple clips that are right down there that we need to pop out to allow the bumper to come out a little bit easier. So we're just going to take our trim tool and pop those 2 little pop rivets off and go from there. All right, these are just going to come off with some 14 millimeter, they're 14 millimeter bolts. I'm just going to use an impact with a socket on it. And I'm just going to leave 1 bolt loose on one side so the thing doesn't fall. Alright, there are a couple wiring harness clips. They were right here. They were on the inside edge of that bumper that you just got to be aware of. And so you're just going to tuck this back up here, and that is for that wire is for that the active brake assist harness. Now the next piece that we have to take off, as you can see right here, there's a lower brace that has got to come off. And that's just 2 more 14mm bolts. All right, so that should give us access to all the attachment points that we need for the bumper. All right, so the last piece that we need to take off is this plastic air dam, and it just protects the bottom of this. This is going to be in the way of the bumper, so we've got to get it off. You have to make a slit right here to get behind these hoses, because this is put on, I guess, before those hoses are put on, and there are a couple clips on the edge. And we'll show you how to pop them off real fast. You can just, I'm going to use the same tool that I had from earlier to get that done. All right, so we are ready to test fit. So I have the bumper on a jack, and we're gonna put it up and just put a couple bolts in and see how our cut was, to see if we need to make any trimming before we do anything with the winch. I can already see I need to make some trimming, so we're going to do that. All right, you can see we got it fit pretty well now. So we're going to open up our worn winch box and get it prepared, and then get the bumper back down and mount the winch. So that's a pretty simple process. It's only 4 bolts go in the bottom of it, and we'll take care of that real fast. And if you look on the bottom of the winch, you can see the 4 holes, and then there'll be hardware that fits in the bumper for that specific purpose. And we'll get that shown to you real fast. All right, first thing we're going to do is install the fair lead. And basically it's just going to go on just like that. All right, the next step is we will get the winch just test fit in the cradle. These are the flat square nuts to go in the bottom of the winch. And they just slide in just like that. So, and then you just use a screwdriver once you get underneath it to kind of manipulate the nuts around so you can get the bolts up in there. All right, we got now that the bumper's all ready, we've got one last thing to do. So these frame brackets right here are too short. So there are 3 bolts, 1, 2, and then there's one on the other side. So Backwoods sends longer brackets, and this is what mounts to the bottom half of the bumper so that there's structural support on the bottom half. So we got to take those off real fast, and then we'll install the new ones. It's just simple. It looks like an 18mm bolt, and we'll take them off real fast and get the new ones installed. All right, so those brackets. The first one takes 2 seconds. The second one is seriously problematic, and I'll show you how. If you can see, that bolt right there is in the way. I'll put my finger on it right here. It's right next to the intercooler and the hose, and it's literally impossible to get out. So beware, if you have to install these brackets, you're going to have to take the rest of the bumper off. You're going to have to loosen the core support bolts here and here on both sides. You're going to have to loosen the frame support here, and you got to take this frame bolt out so that this whole assembly can move forward. You can see how much of a gap I've created. So you got to do both sides, and this whole front clip has to come out in order to get the bolt out enough, or the intercooler forward enough to get that bolt out. I hate when people don't put things in accessible places without having to take stuff apart, but it's 100% necessary to get the support for the frame bracket, since this is going to have a winch on it, and you got to have that pulling. I had no other choice. So it took me about an hour to figure out what had to come apart to get this apart, but it's a much bigger job than I thought it was. So let me put all this stuff back together, and then I'll show you how the winch bumper mounts up. All right, so everything's back in. So this bolt, that bolt, and then there are 2 bolts right there on both sides. So they're back in. Everything's back the way that it's supposed to be. That was much more difficult than I thought. Well, I had anticipated. I think I spent more time trying to figure out how to get the intercooler off of that bolt than I had the whole time putting the bumper and sizing and cutting and everything. So just be prepared if that's if you're getting one of these bumpers, that you got to put that bracket has got to go in to get those lower frame supports. So all right, well, I think we're ready to fit the bumper back in. Now we're just blue Loctite in the bolts. It's actually much easier to get it up on there when all the stuff, the bumper and all the grill and all that stuff's off. So let me show you where those brackets are so you can see what all this work was about. So you can see this lower frame bracket. You can see that's what provides all the structural support for the bottom. Bottom of the bumper. So you have to do it once you get in there to get the strength that you need to be able to pull 12,000 pounds on the front of this thing. So just took a little bit more time than I thought it would, although I'm pretty happy with how it all turned out. So a few more bolts to tighten, and then we'll be done, and we got to put all the other crap back on. All right, so we've got everything straight. Just want to let you know how complete this kit is. So my van doesn't have the front sensors. So what Backwoods included was some fake parking sensors. You can see it has the hole for it there. And on this side, you can see where I put the first plastic one in. And basically it's just a plastic threaded nut that you can put through those holes. So we'll put that in, and then we'll tackle this real fast and get it set, because it's got a couple two different nuances for it. It's got a little tab right here, and then it's got a some tabs up here that correspond with the ears on this, and that positions this at the right proper angle. So the folks from Backwoods say that the middle detent in it is how it's supposed to go. So we're going to plug the harness in first. So once you feed it through the bumper first, push it in until it clicks on both sides. And then let's get you down so you can see. So we're going to put the little nipple on the end of this into the receiving hole there. And then we're going to just put this in. So it sits on the middle section. And then it basically just goes in like that. All right, and that has got it. So that's it. Nice and neat and clean, easy to set up. It's got those 13mm bolts that attach it to the frame, and it really wasn't that hard, you know, aside from cutting. And I still got to fit the bumper back down around it, and it's very sleek and subtle, but it also gives me everything that I need. So Backwoods Adventure Mods Scout bumper, easy to set up, easy to install. I'm super happy with how everything looks and how everything fits. And yeah, so great new addition to our Sprinter van. So if you made it this far, give yourself a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. If you have a comment, please leave me a comment. I love to read the comments, but I also like to respond to them. And yep, and make sure to give me a like. So this is Dan from Rambling Ambition, and we'll see you next time.